Next, our next speaker, Mr. Choo Zhengxi, a distinguished young lawyer and civil society advocate who is best known for being the founder of The Online Citizen. Mr. Choo will be speaking on the social and legal issues spotlighted in Wills and Succession and how they have changed or not changed since the play was first written.
Reading Wills and Succession made me feel a bit sad. I couldn't help thinking when Elle wrote this in 1995, whether she thought 22 years later we would be looking back on the play, we'd be watching it, and we'd be laughing because everything that happened in the play would be anachronistic because society would have moved on so dramatically and would have changed so much that the social and the legal alienation that Ellen and Leslie had to deal with in the play would no longer be relevant in context, and it would be something more of a period drama. So it made me a bit depressed because Pingos this Saturday, we're looking on from 2017, our vantage point is now, and nothing has changed. Nothing has changed legally, nothing has changed. We had the repeal effort in 2007 in Parliament. Some politicians made some very good speeches. Mr. Bay is here, he made a great one. And then there were the attempts to repeal it in the courts. I did one of the cases in 2014. And that was the high watermark of when we thought 377A could be repealed. So we are in a place now where gay marriage and the kind of social exclusion someone with a foreign same-sex spouse feels in Singapore is still very much a legal and lived reality. And so that's depressing. That's depressing. And I'm a lawyer, so to me, these legal constructs, these rights, they matter. One of the emotional pivots of the play, if you read the whole thing through, is the will, and that's the will that's referred to in the title of the play. It's a document that a lot of us, we take for granted. Eventually we'll make one, we'll die with one, and it will tell the people we leave behind what to do with the things we have. If you're, I mean, I know some families with 7 wills. I don't have 7 myself. But what happens if you don't have one, right? What happens if you don't have one? What happens if you drop dead on the treadmill at Fitness First in Orchard Road? If you die without a will, there's this statute called the Intestate Successions Act that tells those left behind how your things will be apportioned. And if you're a straight couple, automatically a portion of that in certain circumstances goes to your spouse. That doesn't happen if you're gay. So that's just one example of how rights matter and how I did feel kind of the futility of it all, seeing it, seeing the same issues kind of haunts us to where we are now. But as a lawyer, I'm very, very aware, especially as an activist lawyer, I'm always aware, I'm keenly aware that society moves so much faster and so much further than the law sometimes. It moves so far ahead. And so I was looking back at what the legal landscape looked like in 1995, at what society looked like in 1995, and how different it is from now. And there was this case I found in 1994, a really strange case. It was a guy who was cruising at Tanjong Rhu. And this was way before Grindr, Tinder, even the IRC, right? So people would cruise in public. Attractive young men would stand at Ann Siang, Tanjong Rhu, Fort Road, and richer guys with large cars would drive by and pick these boys up. And so there was this gentleman, his name was Tan Boon Hock, in 1994, who was cruising in his car. He picked someone up and proceeded, the person said, well, you know, I'm here for whatever it is, and he started to touch him. To his horror, he found out that gentleman was a plainclothes policeman, and he wasn't just charged with 377A, he was also charged with outraging the modesty of the policeman who he had touched. It's bizarre, but it's probably a mark of how, even though the law stayed the same, We can't, in this day and age, imagine something like that happening in 2017. But we didn't get to this place by sitting back and watching plays. We got to this place by people pushing things in Parliament in 2007, in 2014, the people who put their names to the lawsuits that challenge the constitutionality of 377A, and hopefully this Saturday by standing up and being counted at Pink Dot at Hong Lim Park. Thank you very much.